The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Tally Olson. I am back, and you are comfortably zoned with me, the Zig Zag Man, in Alameda, California, right across the bay from San Francisco, across the moat from Oakland, in the northern part of California, as far away as I could get from my guest. Alan Blumkin is here, New York to California. You can't stay within the continent and get that far away from each other. Hello, Alan. Let's celebrate.
Yeah, it's, I'm counting down the hours.
Within 24, his plane will have landed in Florida, and hopefully he will be subpoenaed and indicted as quickly as possible for all the state crimes that he's committed, and we can get on with our lives. This has been traumatic.
Well, he's even worse than William Henry Harrison, who got pneumonia at his inauguration and died a month later.
Oh, yeah, he wasn't around to do damage.
He's done so much damage, Trump, that it'll take forever to undo a lot of it.
I know, but strangely, I have confidence in Biden and Harris that they'll be able to turn the tide. The damage in terms of our internal struggles with almost a civil war, the difference in ideology between a Trump supporter and you and I is like night and day. So
yeah, my brother is a Trump supporter.
Yeah, I had a lot of friends.
He called me the other day, and I didn't provoke him at all. And he started talking about free speech, meaning this is when Trump was kicked off Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and a few others. And I said, the reason they cut him off is because he lies all the time. My brother hung up on me.
I've asked you this before. I see your older brother or younger brother?
Younger.
Oh, okay.
3.5 years.
Well, he'll learn when he grows up. He'll learn the difference between right and wrong.
No, he's so right wing. It's just beyond belief.
Well, there's a difference between being right wing and being a Trumpite, as I see it. The differences are pretty obvious. You could be a right wing, you can have conservative philosophies, but you can't be an autocratic dictator. And that's where, and what he incited in the riots is just going to get him impeached or get him convicted of the second impeachment in 4 years. That sets a record in itself. But
in fact, it was about a year ago. My primary health aide here was studying to take the citizenship test. So she says, "Who's the current president?" Then she answered that, Donald Trump. And she asked me, "What party was he?" I said, "Fascist."
Yeah. I'm sure she'll have to explain that at night class sometime.
Yeah. I was on him right away. I mean, I said, and friends of mine have quoted me, I said before he was elected 4 years ago that he had no bottom. I didn't think it would go this low, but I knew he had no bottom.
Well, he said it himself. He said, I grab them and just abuse them, and they like it, and I've got power and stuff like that. That's pretty non-presidential in terms of what we're used to. We're used to, at least them covering it up a little bit. Yeah, his financial non-success didn't go along with the good deal that he promised. I think he was bankrupt 4 or 5 times. Anyway,
when
we
they
got
wouldn't
what we
lend
got.
the American banks wouldn't lend him anymore. He went over to Deutsche Bank.
Yeah. Hey, my apologies. We're not being joined. I blew it, and I blew the time. And my apologies to David Hubler, George Case Jr., Hal Bach, and
You're going to try to reset it for next week?
Next Tuesday we'll reset it. How about that?
Okay. All right, fine.
Okay. And
okay.
Anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to just mention or say anything? Or just like to hear your voice once in a while.
Okay, yeah, I've been watching a lot of football lately. Basketball, I have no interest in until the playoffs. And baseball, they've made the game unwatchable.
Oh, you know what they're going to do this year? They're going to continue the man on second. You know all that. Man on second, but the audience man on second with nobody out. They're going to continue that. Have they made a decision on the DH?
Yeah, National League is not going to have it this year.
Oh, they aren't. That's just delightful. They'll have it next year.
Yeah, because
the Mets need it this year, so they're not going to have it. That's the way the life of a Mets fan goes. It would be great.
I was going to say they're going to have the 7-inning doubleheaders.
Yes.
And, of course, in one of the playoff games last year, San Diego against the Cardinals used 9 pitchers to pitch a 9-inning shutout.
Whoa.
And Blake Snell went to the Padres, got traded to the Padres because he was very pissed off about how they took him out in the 6th inning of the final World Series game. He'd given up 1 hit. Can you imagine telling Gibson or Early Wynn or Marichal or Spahn or anybody like that, well, you got to come out because you threw 100 pitches.
Who's going to be brave enough to get Bob Gibson on the mound under like circumstances? Who would have been brave enough? Fred Hutchinson, perhaps, but that's about it. You could think of, the world has changed, baseball's changed, life has changed. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, all change is not good.
That's true.
They ruined the game for me. I mean, I can't watch 4-hour games anymore.
Yeah. And we had a show a while back that's going to be included. The transcript basically is going to be included in the book that I'm writing with George Grimm. And it was you, David Hubler, George Case, and Hal Bach, and I talking about the changes in the game and how they've bastardized it and made it. We are the most stringent old school guys that love the game for what it was, and they've bastardized it in a way that we have trouble watching.
Exactly.
That's the best way I can put it. And you guys did a great job of expressing your discontent and feelings, and that will make for a tremendous chapter in the book, which is quickly taking shape. So, anytime I heard the announcer say this call to the bullpen is brought to you by whoever, it's another 5 minutes of commercials, and they shortened the game by waiving the intentional walk. That saves about 15 seconds. Right. And taking a lot of the intrinsic strategy out of the game. You know, things have happened in history.
Either. Yeah.
Right.
There's no Earl Weavers or Billy Martins or I think Casey Stengel way back when. None of those types. All of them you can grind the machine out and they all come out the same.
Yeah, Dick Williams, that type of guy who just
forget it.
Yeah, they call down from the press box to tell you who to pinch hit, and the incessant. Another thing that gets me is this incessant remastering the infield. What do they call it? The shifts.
The shifting. Yeah.
What really bothers me about the shift is that there is no player becoming famous for beating the shift, saying, "Let me hit 400." And the skill of back control, it's all elevation and getting it out of the park. And we've lost bunting as a skill. Game's changing. For me, what I do...
The Yankees re-signed DJ Matthew, and he knows how to play.
Yeah.
There's not very many of that, though. I think he came down from his salary request because they gave him 2 years more than they wanted to. But
those 2 years can be very costly at the end, though. Things happen. You get up in the 30s.
They're paying Stanton, who does nothing for them. They're paying him for forever. There's an article in the paper here suggesting that they trade Stanton. Who the hell's going to pick up that contract? You got me nuts.
Right. And what they're doing now is predicting a full season. And I don't think it's going to be a full season. I think the pandemic is not being handled properly at all. And people don't hunker down, and people don't use a mask, and people will resist the vaccination. And it's going to take a long time to reach herd immunity, and very many people will have perished by then. So that's my pick.
New York, they're running out of supply Friday here.
Right. Incredible, the ineptitude, and that goes back to Trump too. Not only did he ignore it when it came from China, the horrible thing from China, as he'd say, but he ignored it then, and he's ignored it since. He's ignored the distribution of the vaccine. They're throwing away unused vaccines because they've gone stale. That just absolutely mystifies me, how he couldn't have gotten the National Guard or the Army or something going. But I did hear something today that made sense to me, and I got whoever it was that invented it, give him kudos. It was having Starbucks set up a vaccination center, all the Starbucks stores. That's been in the works, and it certainly makes sense, given that they've got to get something back for taking away the mama and pop coffee shop in this country. But so there's hope, and Biden is in there, and I'm going to try to be a little more upbeat. But I really like Kamala Harris. She just a good person, although she was a prosecutor, and you got to give her some reality about that. And but the difference between the two administrations is wonderful.
Yeah, especially at the demonstration 2 weeks ago, with a riot, which he provoked. Yeah. Even McConnell couldn't deal with that.
No.
After kissing Trump's backside for for a few years, now all of a sudden.
But I think what he's hinting at is the eventual conviction of the impeachment, and he's got a lot of power. And
he's for it.
And he's in America. He's kind of on the fence. He knows. He said that Trump was absolutely wrong, but we'll see how it goes. But I think he may come down on it, and he'd influence a lot of people, and then Trump could never run again if he's convicted. And from there, the states will get him. New York State has. I'd like to see him serve him at Mar-a-Lago tomorrow night. As soon as the lights go out, and have the FBI around the place. That would be nice.
Well, I wanted to send him a bottle of Clorox. But then I realized if I did that, I'd be investigated.
Right, you would.
So he could inject it into himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Give him a break. Let him put him out of his misery. I really thought that he would commit suicide by now, and it wouldn't surprise me if he ate his gun tonight, last night in the White House. You can't tell the Trumpites what he is. I asked a couple of them I know, what personal qualities do you like about him? That's
they blah, 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 blah. They can't give me any.
They can't. Nothing can come out that's personal, even if you like his ideology. You can't think. He has a way of presenting it that is sickening as a human being, as a fellow human being. How did he get this way? What's wrong with him? I listened to Mary Trump, and
I read that book, and I decided to go not read the Michael Cohen book or Bob Woodward's second book, because I don't need to go through 800 pages to tell me that Trump is a bastard. I know that.
Right. What did Mary Trump say to you in her book that was interesting to you?
Okay, there was one thing that after the father died, and they were splitting up the estate. Trump had an older brother who wound up drinking himself to death.
Her dad.
And the older brother was despised by the father because the father considered him weak. And Trump tried to get everybody's, have it diverged so he gets everything.
Donald.
Yeah. He doesn't care. He doesn't. I've asked my brother a couple of times, not recently, though. I said, do you think he really gives a damn about this country? And my brother said, yeah. I said, who? How? It bothers me a lot that there's so many idiots out there. They're busting some of the more crazy ones, the FBI and a few other agencies.
Right.
They actually brought a noose in there to hang Pence with.
What bothers me is there's a comparatively high, and it doesn't sound like it with all the police folks that they have, but there were like 11 guys on the inside who were assigned to guard the Capitol and what have you, and they had Congress people giving instructions, tours of the Capitol building to these guys who came back and knew what they were doing, and they had maps, and they're not as disorganized as you would think, and that scares me.
Well, I think that think he should be indicted for three things: First is criminally negligent homicide for the COVID deaths. Second of all is incitement to riot. And third of all, murder, because that cop got killed in the riot the other week.
Right.
He has enough crime. And I told people he wouldn't give a damn if 1 million people died from the COVID.
He's throwing over the democracy. I mean, death notwithstanding, what do we have if not democracy? What makes this country any different than some third world country that can't get their elections straight?
Yeah,
what the hell has this become? A banana republic, exactly. What would our parents and grandparents have said to if they saw this? That's what I think about. My grandfather would be spinning the other way in his grave. He's been spinning one way, now he'll have to spin another way. It's a sickening situation. But hey,
my mother would have been totally appalled by the way my brother is.
Oh yeah, she's right. That would be an argument. Do you ever ask him how Mom would feel?
No.
Oh, okay.
Sure he knows. I try to keep off topic as much as I can. So the other day we're discussing football. Then he starts in with this. I didn't do anything to provoke him. And he starts in with this crap. And I felt that at a certain point I had to respond. One of the times he hung up on me a couple of years ago when I said that Trump was Putin's bitch.
Well, what's wrong with that? Everybody knows that.
Yeah, everybody knows that.
All right, Alan. Nice chatting with you. We're going to do it next Tuesday night. The four amigos will be together, and I won't blow it then.
Okay.
All right. Comfortably Zone Radio Network. I'm Ralph Tycho. I will indeed. And you stay healthy and celebrate tonight and tomorrow because we have a new regime. And think back. Think, God forbid, had he won, what it would be like.
It would never ever be able to be redeemed. Yeah.
Right. We have a shot at it now, and it's taught us something too, is that we could live without all that commuting going on. People have learned to work out of their homes more, and that will improve society somewhat. So, trying to be positive. This will be over in another year. We'll be going out and enjoying life, so to speak.
Okay, I hope so.
All right. Alan, you're a joy. Be well, and we'll talk next week.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Comfortably Zone Radio Network. I am Ralph Tycho, the weak link of it all. Adios.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices, and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.